What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Opinionated, outspoken, informative. The Jaguar Journal. Your source for the latest information on Southern University sports and SWAC athletics. A Baton Rouge sports talk tradition.
All right, it is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody, bright and early on a Saturday morning. You know how we got to get started. It's Perry White. I'm your host. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday morning. Get up, get your coffee. You don't need your newspaper today. You just need to cut your radio up a little louder, your YouTube, your Facebook Live, whatever the case may be that you're listening to us. Good to have you guys with us. Hope you guys had a great week. It's been a hot week at that, so stay hydrated. Get the kids ready for school. There's a lot going on as you start to talk about getting into the month of August. And guess what? Football season is right around the corner. But at the same time, as we always do, not only do we talk to sports, not only do we talk all these other things, academic, but we also talk in the world of politics. And so we got a very special guest here this morning in the studio, and I'm glad to have her here. It is a honor and a privilege. Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome.
Thank you so much for having me on Jaguar Journal this morning. I'm excited.
And you know what's interesting? You have a mass comm background.
I certainly do. And little known fact, but I used to have my own radio show when I was in undergraduate school at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. And I will tell you, one of the highlights of my life has been as an adjunct instructor in the mass comm department at Southern University.
Let's talk about it. Your relationship to Southern University. It's a Southern show. A lot of Southern supporters listen to this show, but just your direct relationship and affiliation to Southern.
Well, as I said, I had the privilege of serving as an adjunct instructor for years in the mass comm department, and I am so fulfilled to see so many of my students on my journey as they have succeeded. And I will tell you, just on the third floor where I roll, there are probably the majority of the people there are Southern University graduates.
Okay.
My staff, the majority are Southern University graduates. And I will say that my assistant comms director is also a graduate of Southern University from the Mass Comm department.
And you know what's interesting is I didn't even graduate. I didn't go to school for Mass Comm. This falls right in line with me. I was a political science major.
Oh, okay.
I was over at Higgins Hall, so it fell right in line for me for you to show up today and have this conversation. And one of the things, you know, a couple of things I want to talk to you about. But first of all, you being the mayor, 8 years so far in the biggest position here in the city of Baton Rouge. And when you look at things that you have accomplished, what would you start to check off as accomplishments for you over these last 8 years?
People often ask me that question, and I will tell you that my 8 years have been filled with a lot of triumphs as well as challenges, because many cities in America have. But when I start thinking of my accomplishments, I think of establishing the first ever disadvantaged business enterprise program in the city's history. We have certified over 300 new small and minority-owned businesses. So I would say our DBE program is a very significant accomplishment, because when I was campaigning 8 years ago, one of the common themes that I heard was the desire for more minorities to have access to city parish contracts. And so I went to work and got that done. I would say, secondly, our Move EBR program, the largest infrastructure and roads program in the history of Baton Rouge, that is not just touching one side of our community, but all sides of our community. So those 72 projects that are couched in the Move EBR program will be lasting long after my last 4 years as mayor. So this is longevity. I would also say that our public safety program, our Safe, Hopeful, Healthy BR, has received national recognition in terms of leading to reductions in homicides and gun violence. And I would probably say that there is no other mayor, if we were to do the research, Perry, I would say that there is no other mayor that has had as many challenges in terms of crisis management as I have. So what do I mean by that? I mean, like in 2016, we had, that's the year I ran for mayor, we had the killing of Alton Sterling, we had the ambush and killing of law enforcement, and then we had the Great Flood of 2016. So those situations and circumstances did not just stay in 2016. It was up to me, once I got elected, to try to heal that trauma that existed in 2016. So I've had to deal with a lot of crisis management, if you will. Not to mention, we have stood up our Mayor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, because we have had so many weather events such as Hurricane Ida. And look, the winter storms. We had unprecedented winter storms. And then in the midst of all of that, we had COVID-19, a pandemic that, was unheard of. And so I've had to navigate all of those issues as well. So that's been my life for the past 8 years plus more.
I think that falls into where I was going to kind of go next, of biggest challenges of being a mayor. But when you look at the challenges, you never know what may arise. You always have to have your hand in all these different areas and have to be prepared for the unexpected. And for you, because we're such Southern centric, I look at North Baton Rouge, right? And I look at the area around Southern University, and I look at North Baton Rouge as a whole, from Plank Road to Scenic Highway, all of those areas in between. For you as mayor president, a vision for that area, because I come on here and I harp all the time, and I make a big fuss about, especially around the university, right? Just looking at Scenic Highway, the repairs, it floods in that area. I see they're putting new street lights up and, signage, but I just look at the median in the street, the sidewalks, all of these things when it comes to scenic, and what ways can we help improve that? And you being mayor, what ways can we help improve that?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I don't get a chance often to really get the facts out there. I mean, we have a robust social media platform. We put out press releases, but sometimes they don't make the news because there are other issues. So let's start first with Scenic Highway. Very good question. Scenic Highway, first and foremost, is a state-run road. So what does that mean for me as the mayor president? I have no jurisdiction over it. It is up to the Department of Transportation and Development to address that issue. Now, that doesn't mean I just sit back and twiddle my thumbs. I've had conversations with our state legislators in terms of work and communicating in their sphere of influence of how we can do that. Let's talk about Plank Road, because I tell people every time I go into Walmart, somebody asks me about Plank Road.
Really?
I go into Walmart. I go into Walmart a lot. I do my own shopping. I go to Walmart a lot. So shout out to all the shoppers that I see early in the morning. But this is the good news.
Mm-hmm.
Plank Road is going to be transformed. It's going to start this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have the roads worked on Plank Road. And Plank Road is part of a bigger project, which is called our Plank Road Corridor Project.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Perry, if you heard recently, we had the groundbreaking for the bus rapid transit on Airline Highway.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so that's a big deal, and I can talk about that too. And so that bus rapid transit is going to go down Plank Road all the way into South Baton Rouge. So you will definitely see Plank Road revitalized. It is one of our many Move VBR projects that I talked about earlier. And so you'll see a lot of that work taking place. And let's talk about Southern University.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Please, let's talk about that.
So my vision for the future, I have a big vision, and one of my visions is to have a riverfront development.
Okay.
I am part of the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, which is an organization made up of mayors. And our common denominator, common theme is that we all have cities, towns, or villages that are located on the Mississippi River.
Mm-hmm.
So for us here in Baton Rouge, let's face it, our Mississippi River is one of our greatest assets,
Mm-hmm.
but we have not capitalized on that. And so I would like to see a riverfront development that really connects and maybe starts at Southern University. You know why? Because one of the most scenic views of the Mississippi River is where?
Right there on the bluff.
On the bluffs.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's build that up into a tourist attraction. Get people, and that's going to get people up to Southern University.
Yeah.
You know we have students, aspiring students who often come to take a tour of the university, but we want to drive more tourism up to Southern University.
Because I keep it real. You know, I have conversations with people all the time. And of course, there's a difference when you look at white, black, or whatever. But you get a lot more black people, African Americans, who are accustomed or know about Southern that understands that view. There are a ton of a population of white people in the city of Baton Rouge that don't even know that bluff exists.
You're
They
right.
have never even seen that view. And it is the most scenic, it is the absolute prettiest view in the city of Baton Rouge.
You're right. And listen, you're telling the truth, because I have done some I've done some informal surveys with people.
Uh-huh.
And I've asked, how many of you all have been to the bluffs at Southern University?
Never. I see them on the levee all the time, right? And the levee has nothing on the bluff. I can assure you, nothing, but I understand what you mean by that.
So let's start that riverfront development at Southern University. Then we can take it down and do attractions at the levee. I think we have a lot of potential downtown. We know that we need to have a thriving downtown, so we can work on the levee, make that more attractive. We've got a lot of examples. And then we could take it all the way out to Nicholson. We can develop a park out there. So I call these, part of a string of pearls, that riverfront development. So I'm very excited, anxious to see that come to fruition. I will tell you, we do have some students from LSU who've already started a preliminary design on what that riverfront could look like. So we've got a lot of potential there with the riverfront development. And as you know, we've got some other developments that are going to be taking place. We have the River Center, which is going to be transformed into a hotel and conference center. We also have Memorial Stadium, which is being transformed by a man who has a vision for seeing that become a major attraction for families, recreation here in Baton Rouge.
Overall, we had this whole St. George, East Baton Rouge thing, the city of Baton Rouge. What's the latest information when you look at St. George and what's developing there in that situation?
Oh, wow. So that's how much time you said we had to talk? No, I'm just teasing.
I got about 7 minutes
Okay.
before we take a break.
Okay, but so let's talk about that. And that's another issue that needs a historical perspective added to it. So when I became mayor, that issue of creating a new city was emerging. So there was a vote that took place out of a map that was created, if you will, that excluded a lot of the African American population. It was passed. I then filed a suit because I wanted to see a plan based on a revised statute that showed me how you were going to set up a city of over 70,000 people. Now it's 80,000. So that's what I wanted to see. How are you going to establish and set up show me your plan? Because as the parish president, because I have other municipalities in this parish, you should be able to show me that. I never could get that. And so that was the reason for the litigation. Some people thought it was to protest the election. No, it was because I was standing on a legal ground, a revised statute from the state that said you should be able to show how you're going to establish a city, and that there was no plan. So our litigation took place at the district level court. We won. Our litigation, the organizers filed an appeal for at the appellate court. We won. And let me just say this. Our case was based on data and numbers, right? And so then after they failed there, they went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court sided with the organizers. Thus, you have the creation of the city of St. George. Now, it is incumbent upon me to make sure that this newly created city does not have a ripple negative effect on our entire parish. So we have started with introductory meetings. We've had one introductory meeting. Now we've got to go to the table, and we've got to see, what is it that you want to pay for? What is it what service do you want us to continue? And so that is something that's going to have to be hammered out. The two issues, what day the incorporation begins and what are the boundaries, are still issues we have to work on. I am working with our parish attorney's office. We're having conversations, as I said, with the new leadership, and we hopefully will have negotiations that will not have a negative impact on the rest of this city and parish. But I will tell you, it takes experience and know-how to be involved in this whole situation surrounding St. George. And I have to tell you that I have been in the middle of this ever since I have been elected to office. I've been in the courtroom trying to keep our city united. And now that they won, I have to still keep our city united, make it sure that our parish is fiscally sound. We still have a number of individuals who are very concerned about being in the new city. So I have to meet with those individuals and share with them what their options are as well.
You know, overall, when you look at the city, you've taken it over. You've been here in this position, in this role for 8 years. You talk about crisis management. There's been a lot on your plate that you had to handle and check off. But for you, when you out in the community, what is the response that you typically get? What are some of the biggest things that you hear from people in the community, the average person, not the business owner or the rich person, but just the average person, or something that they say they want to see better in this city that can help them, their family, and whatever else?
Well, I would definitely say that quality of life and quality of place issues are a lot of the part of the conversation that we often deal with. And so we're focusing on areas like enhancing affordable housing, revitalizing many of our urban spaces, improving our city services, and addressing issues like homelessness. So, I hear a lot about those type of issues when I'm in the community. And let me just say this: I also hear about issues surrounding, litter and blight,
Mm.
because our citizens, everybody, regardless of what zip code you are in, most of them want a clean, nice environment.
Yeah, no doubt about
Which
it.
reminds me of this. I've got to tell everybody, on September the 14th, we are having a neighborhood convention.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if you have an organized group, a civic association, or homeowners association. We want to bring all neighborhoods together from throughout this parish, and we're going to have some speakers. We're going to have breakout sessions, and we're going to work on making sure that our neighborhoods are strong. Because if we have strong neighborhoods, then we'll have a strong community, a strong city, and a strong parish. I am so excited about this. So this is going to be September the 14th at the River Center, and you'll hear a lot more information. But I want people to mark their calendars for that neighborhood convention.
And I'm big about the youth. For you, when you look at the vision of the youth, because listen, young people of today are different, right? How they interact, how they go to school, just the world around them, right? Then you look at what happened with COVID-19, phones, a lot of interaction with that. Just a whole new world in terms of just social outings and what's considered social. But Baton Rouge has its own culture, and we all understand what that culture is and how it goes about. For you, what is your vision for the future of the youth here in this city?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, I have insight because I have a Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. So we give our youth an opportunity to come in firsthand, learn about city parish government, but also to share what they believe the future of Baton Rouge should look like. I have my vision, and I'll share a little bit of that as well. We also have a very important program, our Mayor's Youth Workforce Experience, where we have employed, even this summer, almost 500 young people. So we focus on mentoring, literacy, financial literacy. We work on preventing dropouts. We give them study skills, entrepreneurial skills. Many of our students in the program have received certification.
Mm-hmm.
So in various areas. So that gives them a leg up, if you will, as they proceed in their career pursuits. I want to make Baton Rouge and continue to make it a place where our young people feel that they can thrive and prosper, and there's a place for them here. We know that two of the main areas that are job creators are in healthcare and in technology.
Because we hear it all the time, especially when you hear students graduating from Southern and LSU, they're leaving. They're going other places to find jobs, to find, as you say, quality of life. Because there's three things I look at in the city. I look at commerce, I look at residential, and I look at industrial. Mm-hmm. And I look at how do you make those things balance? Because if you can get a balance and a high bar of all three of those things, it creates a community and a city that either generates people, you see tourists going up, you see people staying, you see quality of life in terms of education. It just overall creates just a good sense of a place to be. And it seems like Baton Rouge, it kind of has a balance right now. And I understand when you look at cities, it takes time. Somebody could initiate something 8-10 years ago, and sometimes it takes a little while for that to be initiated to actually see the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And let me tell you, my vision is for Baton Rouge to be the best mid-sized city in America. Mm-hmm. And so in order for that to happen, there are some things that we have to put in place. You're absolutely right. I believe with each administration, there's transition and there's also transformation. Mm-hmm. For example, as I shared with you, before I came in office, we didn't even have a DBE program for people who had entrepreneurial skills or small businesses who wanted to get into the fabric of what was going on in the city. Mm-hmm. So I believe each administration certainly brings that. And I am working right now with a number of promising business leaders to see what we can do to retain our talent here in Baton Rouge. And the fact that we have Southern University and LSU speaks a lot to our talent pool of what we can have. And I do think that Baton Rouge, while we're on our way to being the great mid-sized city that we can be, I do believe that we have a culture that keeps people here.
That's why I'm here. I moved here from Arkansas, transferred, and I went to Southern, and I stayed, and people kept saying, man, why you still live there? And I told them, look, I love the food.
Yes.
It's always something to have a good time about, and the sports.
Yes.
And because of that, Baton Rouge became home for me now for 14 years, and I have considered it home. And, people now when they say, they now consider me saying, man, you from Baton Rouge now. And I guess I'm looking at it. I've been here for so long, but I will say for me personally, not being from here, not being a Louisiana native, when I moved here, I didn't quite know where I was going to go from here once I graduated from Southern. But I ended up finding life being all right for me here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Well, listen, when you compare, the cost of living here to other cities, you can get more bang for your buck here in Baton Rouge. You have a lot of space to express your talents right here in Baton Rouge, because it's like if you go to a huge mid-sized city, not a huge mid-sized city, excuse me. I've got that on my brain that we're going to be the greatest mid-sized city. If you go to a big city, then there's more competition for opportunities. Here, your talent can shine, right? Because we have many spaces. We're smaller in size. And so that gives one of the assets of our community is the entrepreneurial spirit. There are so many young entrepreneurs right here in Baton Rouge.
I'm one of them.
Look, we could have a convention just on young entrepreneurs.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, and so that exists here in Baton Rouge, and I believe it's one of our strengths as well. Yeah,
we have to sow into those because you look at that next generation of people who are going to be business owners, who are going to be employers, right? And especially in this time and age, everybody's it's almost seeming like jumping from here to there, just trying to figure it out. But more than ever, everybody wants to own their own thing, do their own thing.
Yes. And that's a good thing. I don't have a problem with that.
As we get ready to close this thing out, because we got to get ready. I'm going to have to go through 2 breaks, but it's okay. But as we get ready to close it out, what is your message right now to the city of Baton Rouge and to anybody that's out there that listens to this to hear Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome?
My message is first one of gratitude. I want to thank the citizens of Baton Rouge for giving me the privilege to serve them in the role of mayor president for the past 8 years. I want to thank them for trusting me over the past decades to lead in the space of public service. And I want them to know the work that we have done as mayor president over the past 8 years to recognize that we're building a community for everyone to thrive and prosper, that as we navigate issues like the newly created city of St. George, that I have been in the mix. I have been doing the work. I have been offering stability as we grow through crisis. And so I look forward to having that support reaffirmed for the next 4 years, and let's all work together to continue to make Baton Rouge the greatest mid-sized city in America.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on this morning, talking to the old Perry White here on the Jaguar Journal. I appreciate you for coming on and being able to share that information and that knowledge, and for people to hear your voice and get a chance to hear from the mayor president herself. And don't be a stranger to the Jaguar Journal. Listen, this is a quality show, and I would love to have you back anytime that you want, and love to have you be a supporter of this show just because of what this show has stood on for 20-plus years and what it means to the community. And it's good to have you here so the community can hear you and can understand what it is that you have done and the things that you're trying to continue to do for this city. So thank you for coming on this morning. If you're listening, that is the voice of Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome here in Baton Rouge. So thank you.
Thank you, and sign me up.
I got you. All right, let's get ready to take a break. We'll come back. We got to take a long break, so y'all bear with us. We come back, we'll get ready to close out the top of the hour. So y'all stay tuned more to Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
Talk about offense, we talk about Southern, and it begins with their passing game.
Tom, beyond potent, we're talking about high octane, we're talking about fast break, we're talking about 41 points a game, some 500 plus yards since Terrence Levy has taken over this offense.
Because that young man doesn't drop any ball.
With the legacy that you started here, you got to feel happy to see it continue on with Doug Williams.
Ball now back at the 22-yard line. Levy, no pressure at all. Touchdown, Ingram. The Bayou Classic. Levy on a first and goal play. Throws a touchdown. Grambling comes with a blitz. Levy steps in the pocket, and his pass is caught. One-handed grab.
Sort of in the middle of the road of the SWAC, but immediately they jump on the Jackson State defense. And here's Levy rolling out. And the pass is caught. Ball is at the 31-yard line. Again throwing the football downfield. Oh, and his receiver Hayes makes the catch. See you later. Touchdown, Southern. If you're going to get, I got some free tickets. Look out for it, brother. Going downfield. Oh, and what a play by Southern.
Score. He's played a lot tougher ever since. And this is a free play for Southern.
2nd and 15.
It's a free play.
Levy completes his
It's
pass.
a free play.
Oh, and he's still up.
It's a free play.
Hayes is going to continue running inside the 10, the 5. Unbelievable Michael Hayes. Third down. And 23 for a first. Levy over the middle. Nice pass that time. 2nd and 20. Levy doesn't have to get it all, but he's going to have to pick up some yards. Here he is throwing. Nice catch made.
Receiver, Michael Hayes. There he goes.
Hayes makes the catch. Hayes still on his feet. Hayes looking for blocking. Hayes trying to find a hole. Hayes is still on his feet. He alley-oops. He's inside the 15 and drawn out a foul.
Touchdown.
The backfield. Plenty of time for Levy across the middle. Has his man at the 15. You know, I don't know if you want to break the spirit of Terrence Levy or not. Here he wings one wide open down the middle and a one-handed grab made.
The way. 3rd down in 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet. And Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. So they move back 5 yards. Levy on 3rd down. Looking down the sideline. Yes, sir. Big time play.
Guys stepping up like they're going to blitz. He really is going to start thinking.
Levy pump and go. Levy finds his receiver, Devin Lewis. Good experience, a receiver experience for Hines.
How great is it to have a quarterback coach? Tipped ball is caught by Hayes. Michael Hayes has the speed. Hayes to the 10. Touchdown.
2 core passes today.
3rd and 4. Here is Guyen with the reception and the first down. Shakes one tackler. Still going inside the 30. Guyen to the 10 and dragged out of bounds. Down at the 15 for Southern. Terrence Levy wings it down the sideline for Hayes. Racehorse offense. Again showing its first hold. Ingram as Levy just hung it up with the blitz coming and Ingram uncovered.
What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal. All right, it is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. Good to have you guys with us. I am Perry White. My man Mike holding it down back there. Mike, Mayor was like, hey, who are you? He said, I'm Big Mike. So holding it down back there, Mike, appreciate you for everything. I hope you guys enjoyed that, having the mayor come in this morning and talk to us about the city of Baton Rouge. And for me, you guys know, I talk sports, I talk politics, I talk whatever. I'm pretty much of a guy of the world. I'm a man. Well, I can't say that because my mind. That's a different. A man about town. I can't say that. I'm a jack of all trades. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, man about town. That's a little bit different right there. But nonetheless, man, it's good to be able to have that conversation. I graduated in political science, so being able to talk politics and talk to political leaders, and first and foremost, we always have to be informed. We are in a crucial election season when you start to talk about just communities, the nation, so much. And now pick and choose who you want. I'm not on here to tell you who to go for, what to do, and how to do it. I'm just on here to inform you, to give you an opportunity to hear things for yourself, to be able to formulate your own opinion, and then to be able to constructively think, criticize, however that you want to do, critically thinking, just to have an understanding, because so many people will give you the excuse of, I didn't know. Nobody said anything. How was I supposed to get the information? Well, I know I try to make sure that I do my best to bring the information to you guys. And Mike, would you consider this journalism? Is this journalism? Yeah, we're going to say this is real journalism right here in terms of bringing information to you guys and being able to have you guys understand what's going on around us and have an intellectual conversation, but bringing a little flair of fun with it as well. For me, that's what's most important. Being in tune with what's going on with the world around you and who are the people that's running the world around you. Because some people sit back and you don't vote. Some people sit back and you don't care who's doing things and how they're doing it and what they're doing. Be a part of your community. Be a part of your community. Care about the world that's around you. Have some pride about yourself and your community. And the more you do that, the better we can be as a community. And I always see so much division in the community, especially, listen, go on some of these news sites, and this is the real. Go on some of these news sites and let it be a topic of somebody having this position. Black and white is always an issue in this community when you look at people trolling in those comment sections. And I'm always like, why does it have to be that? Why we just can't either be supportive or we just shut the hell up? But the rhetoric that I see in the community so much, especially for here in this community of Baton Rouge, is divided within the color line. It truly is divided within the color line. And people always want to say, well, it's 2024. We're different. Things are not the same like it used to be. Listen, there's a color line. Mike, I think we got a caller real quick. There's a color line, and I always see it when it comes to that. We got to be a community. We got to go beyond those things. We have to be able to come together because guess what? United we stand, divided we fall. And if we do not stand together, then what do we have as a community? We got a caller? Brian. Good morning, Brian. How you doing, man? Welcome to the Jaguar Journal.
I'm good, P-Dub. What's up, man?
I'm doing good, man. What you got for me?
Oh, man, I kind of caught the intel of Mayor Broom on, and I caught the end of it when you guys were talking about the blight in the communities and whatnot. But I was wondering, did you happen to touch on, I've heard you guys talk about it before, as far as the area around Southern University, leading up to the university and all that area, how it kind of looks, not as good as it should be. Did she happen to touch on that?
Yes, she did, man. And look, I'm going to tell you, go back. This is why I tell people it's so crucial just for you to go subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Jaguar Journal, and go to our Facebook page, the Jaguar Journal, man. Anything that you missed from that interview, because I know you listening live on radio, you can go back and check out that entire message that she had in its entirety, man. So, you can go back and listen to her, but she did touch on that. She talked about scenic. She talked about Southern in that area. So if you missed that, man, and for anybody that's out there that may have caught the tail end or had missed that, go check out the Jaguar Journal YouTube channel. It's free. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. You can go back and listen to today's show as well as follow us on the Jaguar Journal Facebook, man.
Okay, good. I was just wondering if she touched on that, man.
You better believe I'm going to talk about that. Come on, man.
Yes, sir.
You can't have the big dog in the house and I don't bring up my beloved Southern University.
Hey, I understand, man. I know, man. I know. We need to see if we can get Mayor Broom on. Maybe she can talk about getting us officials some type of stipend or pay raise too. Did you happen to mention that?
You know what? I didn't. I might have to get the superintendent on for that one.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Pete, we'll see you Monday, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
All right.
All right, y'all. Brian, I'm calling you Brian. Mike, we got to take a break. We up against it. All right, y'all. Let's get ready to take a break, man. I hope you guys enjoy. We're going to come back. We're going to the top of the hour, all the way to the top. Well, you know what, Mike? Let me push you for a couple more minutes. I don't want to put them on hold for that long. And that's a long time to put the people on hold. So, yeah, I'll hold on. We got another caller. Let's get that caller, too. That's what I like. Let's get y'all active this morning on the Jaguar Journal. And I'm glad I hope you guys did enjoy having the mayor here in the studio this morning, be able to talk to us about some of the things. Who we got on the line? All right, CJ. Good morning, CJ.
Good morning, Perry. How you doing? A great job, man. How you doing this morning?
I appreciate you, man. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
All right. I really wanted to speak to Mayor Broom, but I couldn't get on. But I'm glad you covered a lot of stuff. I really wanted to know what she was going to do with the riverfront because that's been talked about a lot. And I think with your next guest, is they going to be on too? Is Ted coming on this morning?
Yeah.
Ask him about his vision about the riverfront because I think that's a wasted situation that we're not taking full advantage of like other cities have. And I appreciate you for reaching out to these type of people because these are the people that really need to be reaching out to us and to get their word out and get their vision out and to get what they're doing out. So thanks and keep the job going. And I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate you, CJ. CJ said he want that riverfront, something done with that riverfront. The mayor did speak about the riverfront. She talked about it all the way from Southern University, all the way through downtown and all the way down by Nicholson. So good to have an understanding. And listen, you know, I could sit here with her for hours and ask all the questions in the world. But, you know, when you're up against time, you can only do so much within a short period of time. And I got to hit at certain direct questions. And then at the same time, I have to leave room for that person to speak on how they feel about something without having to try to cut them off or cut it short. But, hey, guess what? Besides all that, I know y'all ready for football season, right? Southern University football reported last night. Well, Thursday, first practice was last night of the fall camp. I was there. I was checking things out. Jim Kleinpeter's going to be on at 8:30, right? We're going to talk about Southern University football. Listen, the countdown has begun. We are in August. For you know what, we're going to be over in Lake Charles. A great matchup, FCS matchup. I love intrastate matchups of FCS teams because Louisiana has plenty. Northwestern State, McNeese State, Southeastern, Nichols, Southern, Grambling. Of course, we get the Bayou Classic. We get a taste of that Louisiana culture every year down in New Orleans doing Thanksgiving weekend. But I love when we get a chance to have matchups against other FCS programs within the state, right? Southern in the past traditionally has taken on Northwestern State. This year, Southern will be taking on McNeese in the first game. Nicholls State at home a little later mid-season. But listen, we'll be there before you know it, guys. It'll be Southern University, McNeese, right there in Lake Charles, Louisiana. The Jaguar Nation, as we know, travels from all over. We love road games, don't we? Especially if they in-state. We break everybody attendance records. I think we own every attendance record pretty much in the state of Louisiana at somebody else's stadium. McNeese, Northwestern State, Louisiana Tech. You look at ULM. I'm pretty sure we was close to knocking on the door of an attendance record over at LSU. Tulane. Well, hey, I'm pretty sure whatever the attendance is going to be at McNeese this year is going to be just as high then the way that it is now, that we've seen it in the past. So we're going to get ready for that. I know you guys are going to be excited. You're getting excited. And you want to know about what's going on with some Southern University football, and I hope you guys are ready. It's the first year Terrence Graves. He's on the clock. He's on the clock. Eric Dooley is in the past. Terrence Graves is in the future. He's on the clock. Got an all-star cast of guys of Southern greats and SWAC greats. Southern picked fourth in the SWAC Western Division. It's going to be interesting. Quarterback position, the carousel that we've seen there. And can this team come together? That's going to be the biggest question. We're going to have Jim Kleinpeter talk to us about that. So, well, we have on time, Mike. Do we need to get ready to go ahead and take this break? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have enjoyed the first hour. Listen, Good morning to everybody that's listening to us up in Alexandria. Hope you guys are having a good morning. Good morning to everybody listening to us anywhere in the world. I know we have our capital city listeners here live on the radio on 107.3, but there are a ton of people that go back and listen to us on our Facebook Live, thousands of people as well as on our YouTube channel. And for you guys out there, if you missed or want to know any part of this episode or any other episode, listen. Go subscribe to the Jaguar Journal YouTube channel. It's free. Don't need your social security number. Don't need your credit card, debit card. Don't need a credit check. We just need your support and love. Hit that subscribe button. Become a subscriber, and you can go back and watch any portion of any shows that we've done. And as well as follow us on the Jaguar Journal Facebook page. You can just go hit the follow button on there. We just want your support as we continue to grow, as we continue to put the word out there. And guess what? It's football season, so you're going to want to hear somebody, and you're going to want to talk to somebody after a win or a loss. And guess what? Perry White, I'm your guy. You can call in and talk to me and tell me anything about how you feel. I am your Jaguar Southern University psychologist. When you have an issue, you call in, you talk to Dr. Perry White. Dr. Perry White has listening ears, and I give you the platform to be able to speak and voice your opinion. All right? So let's get ready to take a break. Mike telling me let's do it. We can come back on the other side. We'll be at the top of the hour, so you guys stay tuned. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Southern was a little late to the game of football. They had started earlier in the CIAA up at Hampton and those schools up there. And when J.S. Clark became president of Southern University in 1914, he had already visited the Tuskegee and these Howard and the other schools, and they had a football program. And he wanted to compete with them, not just in the classroom, but also on the football field. So it started as an intramural. We had intramurals when we first came in 1914 through 1916-17. And then the intramural program evolved into the varsity, into the football program in 1918. Coach Big Charlie Holmes from Colorado State, he came here as an assistant coach, but he took over around 1922, 1923, and he did very well through the early 20s. But he came up to 26. He broke even. He was expected to do well, and 27. I don't find any records where he won any games there, and he was replaced. But the person he was replaced by was a legendary. Name is Bryce Union Taylor from the University of Southern California. Out there, he had been an All-American. He was the guy that stopped the four horsemen of Notre Dame, and then he went to Chaffin University in South Carolina at 27. In 1928, he became the head football coach at Southern University and athletic director, and he really put Southern on the map. He had a lot of firsts. First of all, he had the first All-Americans we had came under him. Therefore, he had the greatest winning percentage in Southern University. He won 85% of his game here, and he had our first undefeated season in 1931 when he was 7-0, and but he was not declared national champ, but he was considered for that. But he was our first great coach during that early period, Bryce Union Taylor. We don't want to forget him. Arnett W. Mumford, he's a national icon in coaching. He had coached 10 years in Texas, Jarvis Christian, Bishop, and Texas College. But the last 5 or 6 years at Texas College, he was very, very outstanding. He won 2 SWAC titles, and he had won a national black championship at Texas College and 35. So therefore, Southern was interested in getting him here, and Dr. Felton Clark was very instrumental, the person to get him here. But his impact it goes much further than Southern University and State of Louisiana. He won 12 SWAC titles, 10 of them at Southern and 2 at Texas College. And he won 5 or 6 national black championships. And also, he was very successful in the first interracial bowl game, the Fruit Bowl in San Francisco in 1948 when he played San Francisco State, and he won that game decisively. But his influence extended much further than the boundaries of Southern University. He was recognized nationally as a great coach. His winning record, he didn't coach over a period of 35 years, and a couple of those years they didn't have teams because of the war. But he won 246 games. second only to Eddie Robinson with his 402 game over 55 years, I should add. And Southern always had loyal supporters, and they would follow the team everywhere they would go in large numbers. So Southern became the team that everyone loves to beat, loves every Saturday. It's the toughest game we have every Saturday. So if they don't win another game, they figure if they win the Southern game, they had a good season. And because we carry a large crowd with us everywhere we go too, so a lot of people like that. And we like to brag about how good we are. And of course that helps out. But it is a vista to the university, using the football athletics period to use that way to introduce the university to people who may not have known the university. Went through a period of 20 years, 30 years, I believe it was, after Mom, till we got Coach Pete Richardson in 1982, 83, and then he returned us to the glory years. Rivalry with Grambling has always been there because it's an intrastate rivalry. And we played Grambling a few times before 1948, but after then, we didn't play them anymore until we became a member of SWAC in 1959. But FAMU filled that void with Jake Gaither and A.W. Mumford. Those were some of the greatest games that you ever would see, and they became our main rivalry after 1948. But the exposure that the biggest thing that we can say about the rivalry is that the Bayou Classic, coming to Bayou Classic in 1974, was the biggest thing for any of the HBCUs. First of all, we played in Tulane Stadium in 1974, the first game, because the Superdome was not complete, and we had over 76,000 fans and a national television audience. And we never looked back from that. So it's great exposure for the university, not just for football, but for the university period. On a big game day atmosphere here, we have over 100,000 people on the campus. And for homecoming, they're everywhere, all of them down to Scotlandville, railroad tracks, and we'll have over 100,000 fans here tailgating, just having a good time. And hopefully that we get most of them to come into the game. But we do have a packed house. We can get 29,000 to 30,000 people in our stadium, and that's what we have every homecoming and other big games that we have. Getting a degree is more than just studying. It's an interrelationship that you get and the good experiences and things that you have, and that forum of athletics affords you that opportunity to do that. So we need both, but you should keep them in perspective now. Remember, you don't put athletics above academics, but they work together. If you don't know where you come, you don't know where you're going. And the other thing that a quote I have that until a lion writes his own story, the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. And by that, you need to tell your own story. Don't let nobody else tell your story, because they're not going to tell it like it ought to be and like it should be. But it's important that you write your own history so you can tell that story.
Skelton has really had this wave of momentum for Southern.
Yeah, first-year player in this program. I love his decision-making. He makes quick decisions, particularly when running the run-pass option game. That's his specialty. He's been an impact for this offense since he took over as starting quarterback.
Well, Darius Skelton is a dual-threat quarterback. He can throw the football. He's very good at throwing the ball down the field. We're going to work on this spring those intermediate passes, but down the field, he's one of the better down the field passes that I've seen.
option. Skelton going for it all. Has a man and hauling it in.
All right, we are back. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody out there. Hope you guys are having a great morning. Everybody here in the capital city area around Baton Rouge, all our affiliates up in Alexandria, and everywhere else in the state and around the world that are tuned in and listen to us, whether you listen to us live or you watch it on the playback. And when I see the numbers, I typically see a lot more people watching us on the playback. And guess what? We love to have you as supporters. Getting close to the football season and everything else. And so if you want to keep up with Southern HBCUs, politics, whatever the case may be, this is your place. This is your home right here with me, Perry White, on the Jaguar Journal, 107.3 FM here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Good morning to everybody on our YouTube channel watching us live anywhere in the world, and as well as on our Facebook. Good to have you guys with us this morning. And as we keep things rocking and rolling here at the top of the hour, got a Southern University alum right here. He's the son of Baton Rouge. Ted James, good morning.
Good morning, Perry. Look, man, I grew up listening to the Jaguar Journal, so it's good to be here, brother.
Good to have you on here,
Yes,
man.
sir.
20-plus years of the Jaguar Journal, rocking and rolling, and bringing information to the community. And it often get misconstrued that we're so caught up in the sports. But as you know, Southern folks love their Southern football. They love their sports. So I have to bring that. But in the midst of that sports, I also mix in other things because I'm big about informing the community, communicating what's going on in the world around us, and then also voicing if it's something that I see within the community that I feel should be a change or there's an issue. I have no problem coming on here doing it, and I don't be caring who care about it because at the end of the day, I'm a citizen just like many others. At what point should the citizen have to be quiet, shut up when there's an issue or problem within their community or something that's affecting their livelihood? And that's one of the reasons having you on this morning talking about Baton Rouge and what your vision is and what you see for the city of Baton Rouge. But first, let's talk about your connection to Southern University with this being the Jaguar Journal.
You know, I'll tell you, my connection started in the fall of 1974 when my parents met. My parents met in that long registration line. And, you know, we all
like,
know.
What's your name?
That's
no,
right.
What's your name?
Well, my dad was behind the blue gate. And what he told me is the gate was blue back in the 70s, too. And long story short, my mom came and he was like, look, you got a boyfriend? My mom said, no. My dad said, we got one now.
Oh,
so that's my Southern University story started with my dad shooting his shot back then. And then, of course, you know, I enrolled and served in the Student Government Association and pledged Kappa there, and then went on to law school at Southern. And I've taught at Southern, both undergrad and law school, and would not be in this race but for Southern.
Was you a poli-sci major?
No, I was the accounting major. Yeah, accounting major.
I was like, man, I thought
no, college,
okay,
COB, College of Business, TTLA all day. But yeah, and honestly, that I knew that I was never going to be an accountant after probably the first year or so in it. And Miss Darby, Lord rest her soul, that's my girl. Miss Darby was one of the first people to really challenge me. And she told me, I had her class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 o'clock. So you know how hard it was for me to get to the union to that 1 o'clock class.
Pretty Wednesday.
That's right. So Miss Darby was one that called me out. And after I was consistently late, and she said, look, you never going to make it to where you want to be because you too trifling. She said, you want to be a Kappa pretty boy. You don't want to be the achievement model of Kappa. And so Miss Darby was one that invested in me and cared enough to call me out. And that only happens at Southern.
That's the beauty of it because I had the same thing with professors who see the potential in you.
That's right.
But you're so distracted and, you know, it's so much going on in the world around you that you often looking at the now and not the future. You're only thinking about what's happening now, and they're preparing you for the future, getting your mind right, preparing to let you know that if you tap into that potential, the world is yours. And for you, the world has been yours in terms of a political career and just a career in general. Talk about a little backstory to what you've done all the way up until this point.
Yeah, right after graduating law school at Southern, I graduated right after Hurricane Katrina. So I was blessed to serve in Governor Blanco's office where I worked on housing and community development policy, and then went on to work in the legislature, work for the Department of Revenue, and talking about my Southern story. I've never applied for a job. People from Southern had opportunities, and they picked up the phone and called me. And that, when people talk about the family atmosphere from Southern, it's on full display. Like, my career I'm the poster child for it, right? And then I had this idea about running for office. So I quit my job at the Department of Revenue, was elected to the legislature where I served for 10 years, and then I resigned and was appointed by President Biden to serve the SBA. So I worked in the Small Business Administration.
And you traveled up to my home. You've been to Pine
That's
Bluff.
right. I've been to Pine Bluff. Yeah, I remember.
Pine Bluff.
That's right. That's right. I was with the mayor there. Yeah.
Place need a lot of work, don't it?
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
And it's a story that's too often told around communities that house HBCUs, right? And one of the things that I learned at the SBA, we have a lot of resources, but way too often, a lot of our small businesses are not prepared to take advantage of it. So we got to take a step back and provide that base assistance, right? You know, we in other communities, entrepreneurship is taught, that family business, you learn it. And for us, we hustlers, right? And nobody gonna out hustle folks in our community, but we have to define that hustle and have some of the infrastructure in place to turn that hustle into a viable business, right? And that's when we talk about vision. Those are some things that I want to bring to the mayor's office, because as I travel, even in Pine Bluff, the coalition between the Small Business Development Center there and the city, they were trying. And we have to do that more to provide that ecosystem. And Southern is just such a good platform for me to be able to do that, because, you know, we aren't just preparing young people for jobs anymore. We're preparing young people for entrepreneurship. When I graduated and went to Southern, they were like, hey, go do your best so you go get a job and work for somebody.
That's it.
Now, especially in our community, young people are going to college and they're using that information to start their own business. So government, you saw it in Atlanta, you saw it in D.C., where government, especially local government, can be a huge conduit for entrepreneurs to go from a small to a mid-size to an emerging business.
Yeah, and that is huge, especially when I look at my generation, my age group, because I'm 35, and within that group right there, when I talk to friends, and guess what? I'm a young entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so one of the issues I've always saw was when it was time to get knowledge, information, and how to maneuver this. And when I reach out a lot of times to the older generation who have had what they say skin in the game, is you run into the gatekeeping, right? You run into those issues where doors close, or you have to do these certain things in order to get through that door. And for me, I don't play those games. So I kind of, I walk by the beat of my own drum. Right. So I kind of pull back, and I have to learn sometime the hard way on how things go. But it's a process.
Yeah.
And with anything, there's a process. So let's talk about this process right now of what your vision is for the city of Baton Rouge. What do you see Baton Rouge to be?
Yeah, I'll tell you that, you know, just to take a step back, that wait your turn thing, that's not just for entrepreneurs, right? You know, even now, serving in the legislature, attorney, been appointed by the president of the United States, and there's still people saying, Ted, you need to wait your turn.
Yeah.
But I never subscribed in it as well, and I
That's
believe
my man
it's
Willie.
something to meet in who.
That's
right.
Hey, all
and so for me, I figure if you can work your way and figure out registration at Southern, you can figure out anything, right? You know,
and shoot your shot, take your chance.
That's right.
You know, you'll never know what you could be and what you could do if you don't put yourself out there.
I could live with running and the Lord saying it's not your time. I could not live with sitting on the sideline and watching, you know, the city parish for another 4 years. But in terms of vision, the number one issue across this parish is safety, right? I don't feel it in my neighborhood, but way too often, too many people here don't feel safe, right? Young people can't go to the mall without an escort. Like, my first job was at Old Navy. A 16-year-old cannot get dropped off at the mall today without a parent being there. That's sad, right? Young people can't go to pool parties. We have 11 different law enforcement agencies that don't talk to one another. They don't share information. They don't share technology. They don't have joint task force to the level that I want to see it. There are some small pockets. Once I'm elected, one of the first things that we're going to do is convene a public safety summit, bring all of these people at the table, and then sign a multi-agency agreement where we're going to go after violent crime. We have to. Violent crime, drug crime, and the gang culture that we have here in Baton Rouge. Right? Look, I've been a criminal defense lawyer. I've worked on a lot of reform efforts, and I believe that we can be both tough and aggressive on those folks that are harming our communities, but we also got to be smart. So we're going to employ some justice-related initiatives, like there's a clean slate program that I worked on in the legislature. It is an automatic expungement program for folks that were convicted of nonviolent, but they have restrictions on employment. In the state of Louisiana, we have over 300 restrictions on employment, housing, places you can't even go And an expungement process is long, it's complicated, and it's expensive. So it's something that I worked on in the legislature that I've been working with the DA, and this is a good thing because our DA is actually supportive of it. So when you have DAs that are supportive of these programs, you can't run away from them. You got to run from them. And that's a job creation program, right? In Baton Rouge, we can't ignore the things that drive crime, especially when you look at Southern. You look at Scenic Highway, right? You look at Plank, the development there, blighted communities, empty storefronts, all of those things invite crime. And we have not done a good enough job of aggressively going after it. The city owns a lot of property. Very early in my administration, I intend to inventory their property to see, all right, what properties have clear title. Those properties, we're going to make sure that if it's nonprofits, if it's churches, if it's developers, as your mayor, I'm going to take those properties and I'm going to spend a lot of time at the state capitol and in D.C. pulling down federal dollars because other communities are doing it to a much higher level of us to make sure we have those dollars to put in those communities.
Let me ask you this right here while you're on that, since you brought up Scenic and Southern. For you, I get on here, and I have no problem once again telling people, and I know Scenic Highway is a state highway, but the area around Southern University is still Baton Rouge, whatever you want to call it, the avenues, Scotlandville, whatever the case may be. What is the vision for you for that area? Because from the moment I first touched down in Baton Rouge in 2010 up into 2024, right, I have a vision to see that area just be thriving, North Baton Rouge. I have a vision to see as you pulling up to Southern University and everything else, because guess what? Hundreds of thousands of people flocking to that area, whether it's a game day, whether it's homecoming, the parades, and whatever else. There's no reason why we cannot improve what that area looks like for the sake of our beloved Southern University.
I'll tell you that it's a housing vision. It's a mixed income vision. It's a a mixture of restaurants and some retail. We can't just talk about it. We have to find avenues for entrepreneurs like yourself, rental assistance programs. Like we do it for housing, other communities do it for entrepreneurs, where if you are going to invest in this area, we're going to provide some stuff, just like we subsidize the big boys here, right? We do a very good job in Louisiana of subsidizing major corporations. Local, Southern University is the mirror into what Baton Rouge can be when you talk about the students that come here, right? One of the big things for me, students that are educated at LSU and Southern, they walk across the stage and that's the last time they live in Baton Rouge.
Oh, they're leaving for opportunities.
That's right.
I tell people I moved here because I transferred to Southern. So when I came to Southern, it created an opportunity. And I didn't know where I was going to go after, but then I ended up calling Baton Rouge home. Baton Rouge has been my home for 14 years. Yeah. And people often say, well, why do you stay? Well, it's a couple things. I ended up finding, I know quality of life is different from everybody, but I found a pocket of area that was perfect for quality of life that I look for to raise my son and my daughter, for just myself and every day getting up, walking to speak to my neighbors and walking safely in the community, plus the sports around here and the events, things to do, right? They give me a reason to drink. I'm just saying.
and way too often we run away from it because look, I'm guilty of saying it myself. I have said, look, we got to be known for more than football and food.
Yeah.
Now, like as the mayor, let's build a culture around that.
And I love it. And a lot of people,
let's build a culture around the things that we are good at.
And the people that's from here, and it's just like for me being in Pine Bluff, you can be somewhere for so long, and then I understand when you're local and you've been here, you kind of like, you know what, you want to go try and do something else. Right. I wholeheartedly respect that. It's the people that these institutions and that the city of Baton Rouge brings in thousands of students from LSU, Southern, and even BRCC to this community that just like me ultimately call Baton Rouge home because I haven't been here so long my whole life to where I kind of feel like I want to change. Yeah. And I respect when people want to change, but it's the people like myself and the many others who do move here and then look at, man, this could be a place to be.
Well, I get upset in my folks that I went to school with. They come here for homecoming or whatever, and they go by LSU and it's like, man, it don't look nothing like it did when we went to school. And then they go by Southern and they say, man, it look worse in the community, right? Now, on campus, we have a lot of investments going on campus. There's a Southern University master plan that an organization, CPEX, has worked on. That master plan has not been one that we have invested in. My commitment is to invest in it. Now, the challenge in North Baton Rouge, and again, I'm never going to say that I wasn't part of a problem. As the elected officials up there in that area, there's always the turf battle, right? I want it in my district. As mayor, I got to come in and say, look, we got to look at the corridor from Southern to the airport, right? It's a major corridor where we got a lot of people coming in. And those students, if we don't invest in that little small area, they're not going to stay, right? So that Southern University master plan and the plans that they have, my job is to go and find the money, the resources from philanthropic organizations. You know, there are a lot of folks that are criticizing the LSU deal. I could pick it apart myself as a lawyer. I could look at the fact that we should not have given up the River Center on a 30-year non-compete, but why not just find our own public-private partnership agreement to invest in the area around Southern University? We have to start doing that. We have alums all across the country, right, in terms of housing, in terms of some type of tech, fintech, all of those folks in the College of Business, fintech, and these different types of financing. It's a huge thing that I worked on in the SBA. All those kids coming out of TTLA, we got to invest in them. The engineering program at Southern, DPW right now will tell me that too many young students can't pass graduates can't pass that professional engineering exam. So for me, I'm going to do the same thing we did when we went to law school. We created a bar program when I was in law school that we started as students, and my law school class in the last 30 years has the highest bar passage rate. We can do the same thing with our engineering students to provide that training early while they're in school, to provide the on-ramp for job opportunities, be it through DPW, be it through the engineers that work and have contracts with the city and parish government. They tell me every day they would buy into a program like that. That's a direct investment in Southern. One of the other things that Southern has that people don't talk about, Southern is one of the only schools in the country that has an urban forestry undergrad, master's, and PhD program. You talked about the listeners in Alexandria. The city in Alexandria created an urban forestry position, and this person is the one that he manages or she manages all of the sub-grants. So when you talk about litter programs that's needed in North Baton Rouge, you talk about green space programs that's needed in North Baton Rouge, all of those beautification efforts, they're managed by one person, and this person makes sure that there's a strategic direction. So for me, is there a strategic direction for an urban forestry footprint in East Baton Rouge Parish? The answer is no, right? So tapping into those students at Southern, giving them the opportunity to work with local government and industry to be able to look with all of these different organizations. This will provide natural on-ramps for job opportunities. The good thing about it is the young lady that sits in D.C., when I apply for funding for this program, the young lady whose desk that application is going to fall on is a graduate of Southern University.
Amen.
And we have not tapped into her yet.
Let me ask you this, and this might be the tough question, right? The toughest question. I have seen where people have said you're playing both sides, right?
Yeah.
And for me, you know, in the world that we live in, it's like you have to pick a side. It's either going to be Democrat, Republican. There's no in between.
Yeah.
For you, when you look at that criticism that people give or whatever that they have to say, what is your response to the world of politics when you look at both sides for yourself?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not doing anything different than what I've always done, right? You know, I am a black male Democrat that served in an almost 2/3 majority legislature and got police reform passed. When police officers say, oh, we shouldn't do this. To do that in the legislature that I served in, I've always worked with Republicans, right? The criticism that I'm receiving now from my opponent is that my bipartisanship is not benefiting her at this point, right? I filed and passed bills for the city of Baton Rouge regarding the Baton Rouge Police Department that Republicans didn't want to see the light of day. I was not only able to communicate them, but I was able to convert them to my side. The problem now is that it's not benefiting my opponent. Now, for me, the parish of East Baton Rouge Parish, it is about even, right? And especially in terms of voting age population. The person that's going to win this office is not going to win it with just one side, right? Honestly, I work for the Biden administration. I hear a lot of criticism about the fighting that goes on, left, right, Republican, Democrat, woke, liberal, MAGA, whatever the label is. For me, with the plans that I have for East Baton Rouge Parish, Republicans and Democrats collectively don't feel safe here, right? Republican and Democratic young people don't have opportunities. So for me, I'm going to run to the opportunity that I have to really like build bridges, right? And it's not new to me. It's just new because now a light is being shined on it, right? And I have, received donations from a lot of people, Democrat and Republican. And I'll tell you, And I don't know about other people, but for Ted, when people donate to me and my campaign, they're endorsing my vision. I'm not endorsing their vision, right? They're investing in me. I'm not investing in their
So
politics.
you're saying you're not being bought?
Yeah, look, man.
Is that what you're saying?
The sad thing is the fact that I have to say that with my work in the black community in East Baton Rouge Parish is, if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny.
Yeah.
But there's no, even for you Democrats that have endorsed, you get the same commitment. When you call me, I'm going to pick up the phone. If you have an idea that's best for the parish, we're going to run through it together. But you don't control me.
Yeah.
No one, like when I resigned from the legislature, John Bell, who I got criticized for being so close to Governor Edwards, in his statement, he said, Ted has been a friend, but he challenged me at times. And that's my friend. That's my boy, right? So if I'm not going to let the governor, who I stood with him every single day of his first campaign, when a lot of people were running away from him, when they said he couldn't win, I was with him. And he couldn't control me. He couldn't ask me to vote for everything that he wanted me to vote for. The only person that controlled me in this world is Harper. If Harper asked me for something, as much as I don't want her to eat cake, I'm probably gonna give her cake at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right. Outside of that, the rest of y'all gotta get in line.
Yeah.
Right. But seriously, I get the questions. Right. Like, man, we've never seen this level of support from Republicans for a young black dude. Right.
And it raises questions.
I get it. I get it. And I will tell the people that know me, you know me.
Yeah.
Right. I've been 10 toes before it was a saying, right? And for those people that don't, look at some of the things that I've accomplished. I have not been able to do that with only black support, only Democratic support in the legislature as conservative as Louisiana. And then there's another part of the conversation that people are having. The numbers in this parish suggest that the mayor is going to be a Democrat. Period. Right? And there are some folks that I have been able to appeal to say, look, the numbers don't suggest that you all have a very good shot of winning. Do you like the last 8 years under the current administration? If you do, you could either run a Republican who's ultimately going to lose, or you could support the incumbent. If you see different, like I do, if you have a certain level of expectation, you should make the safe investment and be with me, because I'm the only person, all the polling, we polled a whole bunch of people, Republicans and Democrats alike. I'm the only person that could beat the current incumbent based on the polling, period, right? And there are some folks that I work with in the legislature and in the business community that have made that investment because of the plans. When I talk about reforming DPW, the permitting process for those engineers that work, it's atrocious, right? When I look at a real plan for blight, and I talk about how we can take these properties off of the city parish rolls, and I'm going to aggressively go in and pull the dollars down, and all of these different plans, Baton Rouge has been planned to death. The problem is we got a lot of plans. We don't have the leadership to actually move on them, and I'm committed to moving on those things that a lot of these business folks have been waiting on movement for the last 8 years.
Let me ask you this before we get ready to close things out. And this is the voice of Ted James, if you guys are just tuning in. I always got to bring up the St. George thing.
Yeah,
what is your not necessarily your vision. How do you see that situation playing out? And for you, what is that situation?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Let me address this. I was against it. I'm still against it, right? But the court spoke. And now the person who is the mayor president has to leave, right? There are a lot of conversations about Ted has changed his mind. Show me the text message, show me the email, show me the statement where I changed my mind. No, I'm just better prepared to work, right? I'm a lawyer and I'm a mediator, right? That's the process that's taking place now, right? What services do the new leadership in St. George, what services do they want to handle on their own? From street sweeping, right, to cutting the grass, to permitting, to ABC, all these different functions that the city parish, now we have to go in. And my problem is right now, we sitting back on our heels waiting on them to tell us, the leadership in St. George, because they've been working for 4 years. We've been sitting on our tail, right? And for me, my criticism is you making this conversation about St. George, about Ted, like we lost the fight. Now, don't pick one with me because I was on your side. But that is the sexy thing to say, oh, Ted is changing. No. Ted wants us to have a plan as a citizen. Forget me as a candidate. We don't have a plan because I live in Baton Rouge. right? But my ex-wife and my daughter 50% of the time live in St. George. So I can't ignore them, right? And when I announced, I said I want to be the same for Baton Rouge, Bakers, Akron, Central. Now we got St. George. So my plan is to protect that $50 million that we know we're going to lose. Baton Rouge, the city parish, is going to lose $50 million at some point when we have to transfer the tax revenues to the city of St. George. What does that look like for us, right?
That's huge.
You know, there's a story on the news yesterday about a neighborhood in North Baton Rouge that were complaining. They've been calling the mayor's office and the city to do something simple like pick up the trash and cut the grass. If we can't do that now, how are we going to do it when we got to give these folks $50 million? So for me, it's looking at the budget that we have. One of the things that we did a lot of in the state, there were departments that would fund vacant positions because they want to have the money, right? But you never find people to fill those vacant positions. But you need that buffer, you need that cash because the unforeseen may happen. In the city parish government, we got to look at those opportunities, right? If there are different departments that have been funding vacancies, we got to move those dollars to something else, right? If BRPD and the constable's office, we may need to find some things that they can, when I talk about merging functions and effort, we might need to find some cost savings there. When you look at other things like revenues, right? You can't just look at a budget and try to cut it. How are we going to grow it? I was in downtown last night, 8:30 on a Friday night. Nobody. Nothing, right? A city that has 2 major universities on the river, we have to bring some type of excitement from an arts and entertainment district to downtown. That brings in sales tax revenue, right? We have to look at our downtown, the fact that our downtown shuts down at midnight, right? A city of our size, our downtown shouldn't shut down at midnight. Of course, we got to make sure BRPD is there and we're safe, but we got to create those economic opportunities. The plan that I have for small businesses, especially those that are willing to invest in North Baton Rouge, when they hire people, they spend more, they buy more. That helps us to grow the pie so that the hit from St. George won't be as hard. It's going to sting.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to sting. And the unfortunate thing is the folks that live there, there's no way that they can do the things. I've been saying this from day one. The things that they want, there's no way that they're going to be able to afford it with the resources they have. So my plan is to try to alleviate going to the voters and asking for new taxes. My plan is to alleviate cutting services to where we are really harming the community. And we know in Baton Rouge, right, we have the greatest needs. So for me, I think it's sad to say that the native son is going to ignore the community that raised me. And it's just not true, right? But I am prepared to sit at the table with my own plan and not just wait for the folks in the leadership in St. George to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. Then we have the retirement piece. So the last time that, and it may have changed, the last report that I have seen was a CPA report from 2018. The mayor's office may have a new one, the last one that I've seen. And it talked about the unfunded liability for retirement. It's $100 million that the city of St. George will owe East Baton Rouge Parish. What is the plan? Are we going to give them 30 years to repay it? We're going to give them 15 years? We're going to give them 7 to 5? For me, I'm going to be pushing for a 5 to 7 year plan to make sure we have that yearly allocation of resources, again, to make sure that the blow is not as severe, but it's going to be a blow. Million. And the truth of the matter is we have not heard an iota of this from the current administration. The only thing you hear is, oh, Ted has changed his mind. No, I haven't changed my mind. I'm just not one of them people that lose and want to cry and take my ball and go home. Yeah, we still got to play ball.
Yeah, don't be that dude.
I can't.
Don't be that dude.
Can't be that dude.
I done ran into them dudes before in life, you know. Hey, Ted, before we get ready to let you go, man, I'm up against the break. But before we get ready to let you go, what is your message to anybody that's out there listening right now? Final message for them.
You know, I'll tell you that Baton Rouge, we've had the same leadership for the past 8 years. If in 8 years, in my opinion, is long enough to know if something is going well or not. In my opinion, it's not. But I will admit to you that I have a higher level of expectation for East Baton Rouge Parish. I don't want to be the mayor that will have us to meet our potential. We have to exceed our potential in terms of economic growth. I built it all across the country, and I've watched other communities, and I flew back to Baton Rouge. And y'all, we know it's important for us to keep our young people here. It's important for us to keep us safe, but it's also important that we create the economic opportunities. And we got to start talking about those things in our community. And I'll throw a challenge back out to the community. Another part of my vision is to challenge the people that I'm asking to vote. We in the black community, we let politicians come in our community and say, this is my plan for y'all. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to sit back and have the community say, no, here are our demands for you. And in 4 years, if I hadn't met those demands, don't let me come back, right? And I'm not afraid of that. So, I am going to be a man. I got a lot of ideas. I got vision, and I could talk about it for days. But I'm also one that recognizes that I am merely trying to be the voice of the community. So if the community has some demands, bring them to me, and we have to be very organized about that and stop talking about, oh, they did this, they did that. They're going to always do what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. What are we doing, right? Like, what is our plan? What is our collective vision? And what are we demanding of our elected officials? Mm-hmm. This is an important election. You're going to hear a lot of conversations from the national election. If your vote is the most important thing that you have, don't give it away for nothing.
Yeah. Ted, want to appreciate you for coming in this morning, man. Look, I've enjoyed the conversation. Hey, don't be a stranger to the show.
Yes, sir.
Be a supporter of the show as well, man. Come on, man. We right here. If there's anything you need, man, you let me know. And I tell people all the time, I don't pick sides when I'm on the radio. I just give information for people to understand you have choices.
That's right.
You pick your choice. All I do is just present the option to you, then you choose the option. You don't never know where Perry gonna go with, because I'm like you. I'll talk to any and everybody.
That's right.
I don't have a problem. My mind not set for it to be one way. I'm open-minded to hear any type of way. And I saw somebody said, man, I need a political show. So I may need to start up, because I can talk to you for a long time.
Let me tell you something, Perry. You are the type of person that needs to, because the political talking heads, like, people don't trust us. Mm-hmm. People don't trust us, right? And it's just, at the end of the day, like, I got a little hashtag, trust it. But at the end of the day, because of all of the things in our community, people don't trust. And I get it, right? And I understand. I'm working hard to try to change the dynamic. And normally I would say, look, it don't matter who you vote for, just get out there and vote. This the election, I ain't saying that, right? This election, Baton Rouge, it matters who you vote for, right?
Well, Ted, thank you for coming on this morning, man. I have enjoyed the conversation, man. And for anybody out there, you take it for however you want, whether you agree or disagree. It's on you. You hear the information now. You formulate what you think about the information that you heard, and then you break that down and dissect that however you want. And this is all we're doing, creating the platform for you to hear the information. So, Ted, thank you for coming on this morning, man.
Go Jags.
Go Jags. All right, y'all, let's get ready to take a break. We come back on the other side. We get ready to continue this thing. Try to get Jim Kleinpeter on Southern University. Football started last night. It's fall camp, so let's have some conversations about that. Y'all stay tuned. More to Jaguar Journal.
Darius Skelton has really had this wave of momentum for Southern.
Yeah, first-year player in this program. I love his decision-making. He makes quick decisions, particularly when running the run-pass option game. That's his specialty. He's been an impact for this offense since he took over as starting quarterback.
Well, Darius Skelton is a dual-threat quarterback. He can throw the football. He's very good at throwing the ball down the field. We're going to work on this spring those intermediate passes, but down the field, he's one of the better down the field passes that I've seen.
Play action, Skelton going for it all, has a man, and hauling it in is Hunter Register.
And then when you talk about running ability, he has running back capabilities. He can go the distance. He has the speed to go the distance. He has the power, and he has the vision. And I think when you put that with a dual threat quarterback, I think he's the reason why we're so happy about this coming season.
Skelton feeling the pressure. Skelton eludes a couple of tacklers. He's still on his feet. Oh my! Little shake and bake juke move, baby.
Being a quarterback, man, it's not easy at all. It was hard being here and having the expectations to be the starter and not being the starter. It was overwhelming. Like, I was ready to play, and not playing when I was ready to play just made me kind of look at life differently and really think, should I be here or should I not? And I talked to God, and he just settled me down, and he told me to be patient. That's what I did.
Skelton, who started the last 6 games of 2018 for the Jaguars. They went 5-1. Their only loss to Alcorn State in the SWAC title game. Taking the jet sweep, and Skelton awfully good with his leg. Blitz. Register, the receiver at the bottom of your screen. Nice grab, Washington. Who have had an impact here in the year lowing. Southern still off. Skelton comes up for the third time. Taking the jet sweep, he'll keep it. A good lead block as he cuts it to the outside. The fake to Ben. Skelton will run. And dragging with them for a few yards. There he is. The time stepping up into the end zone has registered. Flag down, catch made, touchdown. And it's actually first quarter yards. Southern 121, McNeese 40. Fresh set of downs as we begin the second quarter. And looking deep, Skelton for register.
What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
For the first time in the 79-year history of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Elite Championship game determines the overall champion today. Live from Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama, it's the champions of the East, Jackson State, taking on Southern, the champs from the West. Hello, everybody. George Johnson along with Charles Mann. And I got to tell you, a great poet once said this is the way it's supposed to be. And it is. Number 11 Southern taking on number 15 Jackson State. Both programs have won 3 SWAC titles over the decade. So it's only fitting in the first SWAC championship game we determine the program of the decade. We've got a lot of offense out on the field. And yet this guy right here, he's going to tell you this game's all about D.
It's always all about D, George. You know that. It's always all about D.
An all-pro defensive end is going to tell you that. When you think about Jackson State, this is a team that is very potent offensively, but defensively they've led the SWAC throughout most of the year. They've got the best player in defense in the SWAC, and that's Tommy Head.
Tommy Head. Get used to saying that name. You'll say it all day. He'll be all over the field. He's always around the football. He's the leading tackler on this team. He also has 5.5 sacks.
At one point this year, Southern led the nation in scoring defense. Then they ran into Florida A&M. They got a lot of guys out there that can get it done, but at the top of the list.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to you all. Everybody listening on 107.3 FM here in the capital city area of Baton Rouge, all our affiliates all around the state, Alexandria, everywhere else. We love you. Our YouTube, Facebook, subscribe, follow. Let's keep things rolling this morning. Want to thank all of our guests this morning. Guess what? We got another special guest, Jim Klein, Peter, other advocate. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Terry.
When we get to talking to you, we know what time it is. It is football season, and I think the Jaguar Nation is ready to know what's going on. Southern football reported Thursday. First practice was last night, 8 o'clock, A.W. Mumford Stadium. Fall camp is officially underway. Jim, for you, when you first had an opportunity to get out there and talk to Coach Terrence Graves, what did he say?
Well, he doesn't give you a lot of details. It's mostly, general type of stuff, but they're probably a little more tense about the quarterback situation than they say they are, because they're making them off limits right now. We're not allowed to talk to quarterbacks for about a week. So I think they want to get them established, and they want to, it's the most important position on the field, and so they've got to get him. I think they're going to end up with Noah Bodden as their quarterback. However, I will say that after watching the drills last night, Xavier Tissett took first snaps. That's you can't judge, you can't base anything on that, but that was interesting to me because Bodden took the first snaps in the spring, and maybe they're going to play them both. I don't know. So we will see. But based on what I can see, he wants them just to get a little better. And I think you've got a team with a lot better vibe than it had last year, at least, and maybe even the past 2 years. I think there's a little more organization, a little more purpose. I think this is I'm not predicting that they're going to win the West Division or the conference or anything. But I think they're in better standing this year.
Let me ask you this. SWAC Media Day, Southern picked fourth in the SWAC Western Division behind Prairie View, Alcorn, as well as Grambling. What's your thoughts on the reasoning behind that?
Well, Perry, the thing about preseason teams, it's just a look back at how the last season ended. If you'll notice, Alcorn State was picked first. They got a new coach. Okay, that's kind of weird, but the team that tied them for the division title, Prairie View, was picked second. So the two best teams from last year are 1-2. Now, of course, Prairie View represented the West in the championship game based on beating Alcorn head to head. So I think a lot of times you can't really take it too seriously. I don't know what's going on at Alcorn. They're going to have a new quarterback. They got some big changes there. I don't know how. I think it's like I said. People just look at what happened last year and they go with who was how the teams finished last year. Prairie View has a new quarterback too. So they both teams are breaking in new quarterbacks. So I was gonna. I don't put too much stock in that. Southern, this is perfect for Southern, though. I mean, you can bet that that Graves sent somebody home and planted it on the bulletin board before media day was over with. That Southern's predicted to finish fourth. He wants his team to be a little irritated by that and let that build up as we get into the season.
Jim, let's circle some areas around this football team, right? For you, critical areas that need improvement and names of guys that you think are going to become names that Southern fans become familiar with.
Well, you always say quarterback, but the next most important position after quarterback to me is the offensive line. And these are Southern's two biggest question marks. So that's hard. I mean, if they manage to come through and get a good offense going this year, that's going to say a lot about Terrence Graves' coaching ability. They've got 20 offensive linemen in camp. Now, only had 13 of them out there last night. They got a lot of new faces there. They've got that's a place, and we've talked about quarterbacks. So I'll get back to them in a second, but the offensive line, the offense doesn't go anywhere unless you've got a high functioning fivesome up front, and they've got one returning starter, so they're going to have whoever wins the jobs there, they're going to be at least four new faces up front, and that's going to be the biggest challenge. I think they got a lot of work to do there, because the offensive line is a 5-man group that has to function as one, as if they're all connected by a rope or something. So I think Josh Trask is a guy that's going to be big for them. He's going to be the leader of that group. He's probably going to be the center. We'll getting over to quarterback. Noah Bodden and Xavier Tissett. It looks like it might be a 2-man race between them. So those are two names. You got Kendrick Rhymes is back, and I think Southern is stacked at running back. They've got Kendrick Rhymes. They've got Kobe Dillon and C.J. Russell. So they've got experience and depth there. And then at wide receiver, you got Chandler Whitfield and Tyler Kirkwood. You got some talent. So I think the offense is going to be good there. Then on defense, the name to look for is the guy to really make another big step up is Kelby Gibbons.
Oh yeah, preseason SWAC Defensive Player of the Year.
There you go. And, I mean, this guy's gotten nothing but better. He splashed onto the scene as a freshman, and he's added about 10 pounds. I think he's going to be even better against the run. And this is a guy, I can tell by talking to him how intense he is. And you know, he really wants to be good. And then they got Davin Cotton back in the middle. They've added some guys around him. They got Derek Williams back at linebacker. They've added some help for him. And then the secondary, they got Rodney Johnson at corner. So I think they've got a good skeleton of a defense to build around. They've got experience and at every stop in the line, the linebacker, and in the secondary. So I don't see Southern. I see Southern being in this race, man. I don't see them as a fourth place finishing team.
Let me ask you this. You know, you look at this team, it seems in this world of the ever-changing transfer portal, Southern survived the transfer portal out of the spring. Any guys didn't return back? Any names, any guys that you thought would have been back?
Well, they lost the cornerback. He was out of there quickly. I don't think they lost him. Actually, Kelby Givens went into the transfer portal for a real quick second there, and they jumped back out. I think they convinced him that everything's going to be okay with Graves as the coach. But no, I think Southern did okay. They didn't get hurt too bad. There were a couple other guys. They could have lost Derek Williams. You know, Alabama State. They not only got Andrew Body, but they got the number one tackler in the conference away from UAPB. You know that.
Yeah.
So
Rico.
So yeah, Rico. So Southern. I have to say they're they're okay. They did okay. They came out without losing guys. They could have lost it. They could have lost Jalen Woods or T-Set. I don't think T-Set would have gone because he's home. But they could have lost Kendrick Rhymes. You know, somebody could have lured him away. And I think that's a credit to the reputation that Coach Graves has and how much of an impact he made as an assistant the last 2 years on that team. That I think the players on the team believed in this hire, so they didn't really lose anybody that hurts them really badly.
This is the last thing I'm going to ask Jim as we go around. It was just day one yesterday. Day two is today, and next week we'll continue to keep this conversation as we inch closer and closer to that McNeese State kickoff. But now that this coaching staff is out there getting ready to go for the first game, what was your takeaway? You walk around, you see these coaches interacting, some Southern legends, some SWAC legends. Hey, there's plenty of guys out there with familiar names on this coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and the Graves even talks about the value of having former head coaches on your staff. Fred McNair isn't just going to coach the tight end; you know, he's going to be a voice, and I think they all know each other, so he's not Terrence Graves not intimidated by having a former head coach on the staff. And I got to believe that Fred McNair's a 1 year deal. He's going to be on the staff. Somebody's going to hire him away next year. So and having that type of experience is a blessing for Terrence Graves. And he's a 31-year career assistant, and he doesn't have a big ego. You know, so I think that he's smart enough to realize the value of having these voices on this team, and who can add something. You know, when they run into an issue, it's good to have that kind of input.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you for coming on this morning. Hey, there's only so much we can give the people out to day one. So day one, that's what we got for you, right? Next week, Jim, if you want, we can continue this thing each Saturday, just filling in people, just get them an idea of what's going on. But that's what we got for day one. Things started last night. What you think about the 8 p.m. Practice?
Well, that's interesting. I mean, it's not convenient, but it's probably a smart thing to do, because I'm telling you, even at 8 o'clock last night, it was pretty hot, and I was thinking, man, I left about 5 minutes early. I could have stayed longer. I said, I've had enough, you know. So you can imagine what it's like for those kids. And then when they put on the pads, it's going to be even worse. And then in 2 weeks, they're going to be going to a 3 o'clock practice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's smart. You got to do something. It's dangerous to try to practice earlier than that.
Yeah, we're getting heat advisories left and right here in South Louisiana. I actually just looked up. I saw there's one issue for today. So Totally understandable. Jim, man, I appreciate you for coming on. As always, man, it is a pleasure. And we're going to continue to keep this thing going, Jim. Thank you.
All right, Prairie. See you next week.
All right. The voice of Jim Klein Peter, the advocate. You guys read his articles. You pay attention to everything he does and what he writes about Southern. How long we have, Mike, before we get ready to get out of here? Okay, I got about a minute before we get out of here. Listen, man, I have enjoyed today's show. They have put it on my mind. Hey, I may need a political show, right? And I think I'll do it. I don't have no problem talking to anybody. I don't care if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're I don't care if you just you. That's all that matters. I think I might get into the political realm and, have a show because I'm all about informing the people. I hope you guys were informed today as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. I just wanted it to be productive, interesting, and being able to communicate to the community. I don't want you to say you didn't know, that you didn't understand, that you don't, none of that. I want to make sure that you get that information. So the same way I bring sports to you, I'm going to bring it all around to you in terms of communicating. Who we got on the phone line real quick? All right, Chuck. Chuck, I got about 45 seconds with you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna be quick on this one. Yeah, it's great that you had you had the political talks on today because people on your show is I want to keep politics out of sports, but hey, our everyday life is politics. That's the reason why you saw back in 1984. They had a video of legendary Grambling coach Eddie Robinson speaking to Congress in 1984, foreseeing what was going to happen in college athletics, and which we have today. And Nick Saban this year went to Congress to speak about NIL. Yeah, this goes hand in hand. And the same ones that go and say that, keep politics out of sports. They're the main ones. I don't want to call his name. That's why they go to this person's rallies and hear all the they love all the bigoted speeches. Let's keep that in mind. There's hypocrisy there when people say that. But what you had on your two guests, it was great to hear them. And it's great to have platforms such as yours, Off Script, and others. I commend Scotty for what he has done as well. You all speak on social issues as well. And I love that. You all take care.
All right. Appreciate you, Chuck.
All right.
Thank you, Chuck, for calling in. Hey, man, I'm just a young dude trying to be involved in the world around me in which they say young people don't. Y'all see what I do here on the show. Shout out to my boy Scotty, too. And y'all see what it is, man. Y'all understand. Look, I'll talk sports, but don't get it twisted. I'm not just stuck on sports. I can talk anything with you. We all the way around. We real journalists over here, Mike. We able to do it all. It ain't just one track. We can do whatever you want us to do, and that's what we do here at the Jaguar Journal. We bring it to you, whether somebody's upset about it, whether they happy about it, whether it don't matter. We're not politically correct on this show. It's not going to always go one way or a certain type of way. It's not going to always make everybody happy. And if somebody got to raise their hand and say, whose job was that? Who did that? Perry White going to raise his hand every time because you know what? I'm willing to put my feet in the fire and stick my neck out on the line as long as this means that I'm able to put out information to the community. And I don't care if it's white, black, whatever the case may be. We all need to come together because it's Baton Rouge. This is a community. This is our community. Whether you like LSU, Southern, BRCC, I don't care who you like. But at the end of the day, we need to all be informed about what's going on around us. We need to have an understanding of the world around us. And it's okay to disagree with somebody. I can agree to disagree. We all don't have to be on the same page, but guess what? We can find common ground amongst this, and that's what I'm looking for, common ground. I don't pick and choose a side, and you will never know my side, but what I will do is provide an opportunity and a platform for people to then come on and then give you an opportunity to decide which side you want to choose. You don't know where I'm going with it, and I don't care. And if people upset, and I tell people all the time, and I ended with this, nothing is personal with me. You can sit down and have a hell of a conversation with Perry White. I'm never going to bring anything personal to the radio or to any of the platforms that I do because I'm not looking for attention and I'm not looking for fame. I'm just looking to inform. It's always business. So whether I criticize a coach, a politician, or whoever the case may be, never take it personal. You are being evaluated by your job because your job is in the public light. That's both politicians, coaches, administrators at Southern University, and whoever else. Your job is to be evaluated by those who are a part of whatever that it is that you're doing, and your job is public. If you cannot handle that criticism, then you may want to think about stepping away and go to a job where you have a boss who evaluates you and not the public. But as long as the public have the ability to be able to evaluate what it is that you do. And I do this radio show. We're going to evaluate, and I'm going to have an opinion in terms of how I feel and open up the phone lines in terms of how other people feel in terms of what you're doing. And that's just is what it is. It's strictly business, nothing personal. Don't never take it personal. Strictly business. I evaluate you off your job performance, not what you do outside of the job. That is your life. That's your livelihood. You continue to do that. Has nothing to do with me and the public. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Jaguar Journal. Go follow us on our Facebook page, the Jaguar Journal. Always, I'm Perry Whiteman. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Go back and listen to it if you missed any parts of it. And it's right there for both of you guys, on both sites for all you guys. All right? Hey, well, I'll be back next week at the same time in the same place because always, it's the Jaguar Journal. What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.